Welcome back to this Thursday morning edition of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra and Inform.com. Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom Izzo while he is out on vacation. He'll be back with us on Monday, coming home from New York. Yesterday, we told you the news about longtime Bison assistant coach Nick Gazer electing to resign from his position with North Dakota State football. Spent a lot of time working with the defensive line, was the co-defensive coordinator last season as well, 15 years in total with North Dakota State. Jeff Kolpak, speaking of him again, had an article up on this topic as well on Inform.com, and Coach Gazer told him that one of the main reasons was to spend time and be closer to family. And, of course, his family is growing up quickly, so it's a decision that makes total sense. Now, on the flip side of all this, Coach Polasek and his staff really acted quickly in finding the next guy to try and fill those shoes. And it's a familiar name in Kody Morgan, who was here for 7 years prior. So Bison fans know who he is. Went off to Kent State to help the Golden Flashes in the MAC, and became the defensive coordinator there, and now is electing to come back to Fargo and help out some old friends of his and take on a new role, one that he hasn't done with this Bison football program, and become the defensive tackles coach. I caught up with Kody last night and spoke with him about this whirlwind of a week, what went into the decision to accept the job, and how quickly this all came about, and what he hopes to do as a part of a member of the Bison football program once again. So here's that conversation I had with Kody last night, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual.
Yeah, obviously extremely excited. This is a great opportunity for not only me and my career, but for our family, for us to get closer to home. My family's from Wisconsin. My wife's family's from, north of Kansas City. It couldn't have come at a better time. We're very excited, and can't wait to get started, honestly.
Can you describe the timeline of this? Was it as fast as we may think it was, with Coach Gazer making the announcement last night on social media, and then the announcement that you're coming to the team this morning? Was it that quick, or was there a little bit more time in there?
It was fast. It happens really, really fast in this profession, and those are the things that's just the nature of the beast. But the great news is I've been close with Coach Polasek for as long as I can remember. As a 10-year-old kid, he was my little league baseball coach, and so I've known him well. He's helped me everywhere through my career, get every job, and we've stayed in contact and stayed in touch. So it was an easy decision, when he made the phone call and quick check with my wife, and hey, away we go. We're ready to rock and roll and move back to Fargo.
That's awesome. Describe what made this, outside of the connection with Coach Polasek, what made this job so intriguing, going from the defensive coordinator at Kent State, school in the MAC, to the defensive tackles coach at the FCS. What made this job intriguing?
Yeah, I think just North Dakota State is a very special place. I think everybody says it when they're there. Everybody says it when they're leaving there. Everybody talks about it. And it's a place that's near and dear to my heart. I owe my whole career to Coach Polasek. And that was a huge part of this decision, was that. But it's just such a special place. It's hard to say no to a place like that when you get to come back and play in front of the great fan base that is up there, the great support from administration. I mean, from the top down, North Dakota State, they have it all. They check all the boxes. And so it was an easy decision.
What I find interesting with this, it's not like you're going into a totally new situation. There's a lot of familiar faces that are just doing new things now. How much does that excite you, that there's a lot of guys that you're going to remember?
Yeah, I'm really excited. First and foremost, to be able to work with Coach Grant Olson again. I consider him one of my best friends, one of my closest friends, and I'm really excited to work with him. Obviously, I've met Devin Kleiman. Working with him, he was the equipment guy when I was there for a little bit, and then he helped work out with the secondary. When I moved over to the defensive side of the ball, so I've been close with Devin. Carlton, I've Carlton Littlejohn, Coach Littlejohn, have met him 1,000 times just being around the program and working camps. So it's going to be a really easy fit for me, just going back to a lot of familiar faces, which is awesome. And a similar defensive scheme. I know there's a little bit tweaks here and there with what Coach Olson's put his spin on some things, but excited to be around those people. It's going to be easy to fit back in and kind of hit the ground running because we got a short amount of time before this thing starts rolling.
Obviously, this opportunity opens up with Coach Gazer announcing that he's stepping away from the team. How much has he meant to you, and how much has he meant to this program?
Yeah, Goose is he means a lot to me. I know that this was not an easy decision for him, and I know he takes it with a heavy heart, but something that probably needed to happen for him to move forward with his family. And it comes at its point in every coach's life where you got to make some tough decisions about that. And I feel for him. Goose is another Iola Scandinavia guy, and so I've been really tight and really close with him, and he means the world to me. Unfortunately, this opportunity comes with him stepping away. I know that that's tough, difficult for him. I'm just grateful for the time that I've had with him to learn as much football and how to be just more than a football coach. And I think that's what Goose has meant to that program for as long as he's been there. Top of all the winning, but just the development of young men. If you scroll through Twitter now, X, I guess the kids are calling it these days, but you can't scroll more than two tweets without seeing a former player, a former coach, somebody that life that he's touched. And that's the thing that I'll always take with me. I know I got some huge shoes to fill with that, but he's a great mentor for me, a great friend, and I know he's really close, and I know he's going to help me with this transition and make it seamless as possible.
Are there things you're going to emulate from what you saw from his coaching style that you want to bring with you back here to North Dakota State?
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited first and foremost, Sam, to make it my own. Obviously, I got my own particular coaching style, my own way of doing things. His connection with the players is a thing that I've always tried to take with me once I left North Dakota State. Honestly, the way he connects with the players, the way he cares about it, his guys. I think he's done an unbelievable job of that, and that's a quality that I've always admired about him and the way he's done things on top of being take the X's and O's out of it. He's a great football coach, right? I mean, he wouldn't be in the position he was if he wasn't. But those are the things that I admire probably most about him that I really want to carry over into my coaching style up there.
Awesome. How much did you follow North Dakota State when you made the transition over to Kent State? Was it something you checked on every week or every once in a while? What's that story?
Yeah, every week we're checking box scores, exchanging messages with guys on the staff. So every week I was checking on them, just like they were checking on us with everything. With Maction on Tuesday nights, we're able to watch a couple games I catch a couple games on a given Saturday and some playoff games too. So I wasn't far removed from everything that was going on, but also I've stayed in touch with all those guys. So not I don't think a week went by where I wasn't talking to somebody on that staff up there.
Well, and obviously, Coach Polisic very well. I'm sure you weren't surprised to see the kind of year that they had with him leading the program.
Yeah, I know the type of man, the type of coach, the type of leader that Coach P is. Like I said, he's near and dear to my heart, and it does not shock me the way that they went about their business. But that doesn't really matter who's at the helm up there at North Dakota State. Honestly, it's the cog in the machine, and those gears are going to keep on turning. But I'm excited to see them get back on top this last season, and now we got to obviously go and put our stamp on this thing and try to do it better than it's ever been done before again.
How would you describe your time with Kent State? When you look back on it full picture, what do you take away?
Yeah, it was a great opportunity. I'm eternally grateful to Kent State University, Coach Kenny Burns, who brought me down here, Coach Carney, who's taken over as the interim. Eternally grateful to this program, these people. They've done an unbelievable job down here from that standpoint, from a support standpoint. But I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot of football. I've learned a lot of recruiting different geographic areas of the country. I'm from Wisconsin. I've always kind of been in that upper Midwest, and now I've been over in Ohio. I had to go and recruit, New Jersey, all the way down to Indiana. Just different parts of that have been something that's been very, very unique. And, it's just a different type of player, not a different caliber from a talent standpoint, but just different types of player than the types of players we were recruiting at North Dakota State. And I think for me to be able to come here was a great learning opportunity for that, to be around a whole bunch of different people was great. Obviously, got the chance to coordinate. That was always something I'd always wanted to do, was to step into that role and sit in the chair and run the remote and be in charge of all that thing. So it was a great opportunity from that, and I've learned a ton And I told Coach P this, and I told the whole staff, I'm going to be a way better assistant having sat in that chair and running those meetings because I know what it's like now, and I can attest to everybody how I was when I didn't sit in that chair, and now I know. I think I got a lot better perspective on what it takes, and excited to help Grant and Coach Olson and the staff, and kind of be better than we've had been.
I was going to ask you that too. Grant's going into his second year as the defensive coordinator. He's young. He's new to this. How much does that help the dynamic in that coaching room with you living these experiences, and you can be there and kind of be a supporting hand?
Yeah, I can speak firsthand. At Kent State, had a couple of guys on staff that had coordinating experience before. Excuse me, coordinating experience before. They were a great help to me. I know that, just bouncing ideas off of them, different ways we can do things. How can we use this terminology and make it simpler for our players? So I'm hoping that I can slide into that role and help Grant as much as he needs and sees fit, but also being a good assistant and being able to just say, here's what we're doing. And when Coach Olson says, this is what we're doing, all right, here we go. Full speed ahead. I'm going to go get it to the guys, and let's rock and roll.
I think the last time you were on the show was about a year ago, and that was before the Penn State Tennessee game. Now you lived that. What was that experience like going up against top 10 teams in the country?
Can I be honest with you?
But
So the everything leading up to kickoff was awesome. And then after about the first couple of drives, then it's like, okay, not
yeah,
as great an experience anymore. But it was Tennessee was probably one of the craziest environments I think I've ever been a part of. It emulates that what happens up in the Fargo Dome. Not quite as good, but it's close. I
yeah.
mean, it was a crazy fanfare, and they had it rolling, and they had a good football team and good quarterback and good offense, and they were high flying. So that was a lot of fun. And then to go against Penn State. So actually, Andy Kotelnicki was the offensive coordinator at Penn State.
Mhm.
Andy was at the University of Mary when I was a GA. Andy helped me get my first job there. So I got to coordinate against them. And, obviously they were really, really good this year. So, we faced a gauntlet of two really good college football
Right.
playoff teams. The experience was awesome. Like I said, the fanfare, all the excitement building up. As a player, they don't get to experience that as much. As a coach, you can at least step back for a second and kind of take it all in, and then all right, now we got to go back to work. But it was good and bad. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of excitement building up to those games, and obviously you guys saw the results. It wasn't as fun to be on that butt kicking end of all that stuff, but still great experiences that I'll take with me. And playing in front of large crowds and fun environments, definitely cool for sure.
There's a reason why they're going for national titles every year. No doubt about that. Are you excited to get back to college football on Saturdays? Is that something that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, the Maction stuff it's unique. It's obviously different. We're their only show in town on a Tuesday or a Wednesday night. The fans in the stands, it's definitely a weird, weird, weird feeling.
Yeah.
That first Tuesday night Maction game I was a part of, I'll never forget it because you're walking out there and it's eerily quiet. It's just a whole different type of environment. But from a scheduling standpoint, I know everybody's interested. Like, how do you play on a Tuesday night? Well, they always give you a bye week leading into it. So you have about 10 days to prepare, and then you're on that Tuesday schedule. So for a coach, you just, okay, this is the day after the game. This is the next day. You're in routine. The players, it's tough on them for sure. They
Right.
got to give in class during the day on a Tuesday, and then they're cut from class. And hey, we got a game Tuesday night here. We're going to play at Akron, which is right down the road. So it provided a ton of challenges. I'm excited to just get back to football on Saturdays and kickoff times, how they normally are, and ready to rock and roll for all that for sure.
I know you've been plugged in with North Dakota State over the years, but do you feel like you have to relearn the landscape of FCS with all the changes that have been going on, even this week with North Dakota State opting into the House settlement? Do you feel like you got to study up on that before you get back to campus?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a little different. Luckily, we were going through that here at Kent State,
Mhm.
going through all that same stuff and having a lot of those conversations. So I know part of Coach P bringing me on, he's pretty excited about the fact that I'll have some expertise, some knowledge to be able to share and talk about the stuff that we were doing down here at Kent State. And so it's definitely different. I mean, football has changed. College football has changed dramatically in the last 5 years. I mean, turn it on its head, change everything upside down, inside out. So there definitely will be a learning curve, especially going back to FCS football. But I'm excited for the challenge that it brings, and I know from an administrative standpoint at NDSU from the top down, the support is unreal and unbelievable, and I know that we're going to handle it in the best way possible moving forward, and excited for it.
Well, when you get here and you make the transition fully to going from the defensive coordinator role to defensive tackles coach, do you have to adjust your coaching style at all? That now that you're okay, I'm focused on the defensive line, and obviously describe your experience coaching just the defensive line.
Yeah, it's definitely different when you sit in that, defensive coordinator chair. You're having to watch a position and obviously, holistic approach to seeing everybody. So now it's definitely going to be a little bit different, but I look forward to diving into all the details of just a specific position. Obviously I've been a position coach and coached the corners, coached the safeties up there. I coached the safeties here before, coached the defensive line. The only position I haven't coached is linebackers yet. So I gotta talk to Gio about that one. Maybe slide me in there for a couple of weeks. But I'm excited to dive into just those every detail that it takes to just coach the defensive line position. And from talking with Goose already, I know how detailed of a coach and a person he is, and excited to dive back into that to just be focus just on that part of the thing, and then hey, how that fits into the general scheme and everything. I think that's the exciting challenge, and I'm looking forward to it to now be able to be really honed in on one specific thing and not having to look at everything. I think it'll make me an even better position coach than probably I was in the past.
Have you had the opportunity to look at the core guys at that defensive tackle position? What excites you with them?
Yeah, it's a really good group. I know that from talking to Coach Polisek and Coach Gazer. It's a great group of people. I think is the biggest thing first and foremost. Take the football side of things out of there. I think they have recruited that position really well, and Goose has done a great job of coaching and teaching those guys, and they're fun to watch play. They play hard, they play fast, they play together. That group is special, and I think it shows the way that they have been coached, the way they've been brought up there, the way they've grown up, and just I'm excited for the opportunity. There's some really talented football players in there.
What's the plan for you? When can we expect you back on campus?
Yeah, around mid-July. So it's
Okay.
gonna happen pretty quick. My family, my wife and I, we're taking our 2-year-old daughter. We're going down to see some family this weekend down in Kansas City, and then we'll be making the trek up there to check out some places and some houses, and then I'll be ready to rock and roll, boots on the ground, and hit it running. And I'm looking forward to it.
Is there anything you're excited for getting back into town, like places you're excited to go to?
Oh, there's the list goes on and on for sure. Blarney Stone was a personal favorite of mine. I haven't been to Blarney Stone in obviously years. Mexican Food Plaza Azteca. I think my wife should have bought stock in that place with how much she's been there. But so she works for Goldmark, so she goes back and forth. She works remotely
Oh,
down here, so she would go back and she'd always send me pictures. I miss that spot for sure. What was the other place? Place across from Shields, uh, Porter Creek.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Porter Creek. That's probably my favorite restaurant, probably in the whole city. But I hope no one's getting mad at me just naming off a couple because there's 100 that I
Well,
could. But
there's a lot of great
off
places.
the
I
top
don't.
of
Yeah, we
my
won't
head,
get you in trouble or anything.
yeah.
I gotta tell you before I let you go. Since the release came out this morning, I've had like 3 or 4 people tell me about Dom and a bag of chips and whatever that whole situation was. So that is, I just wanted to let you know that's still a very relevant thing around here.
Well, I really don't know what happened in Macomb. I really don't. And there's a lot of rumors floating around this bag of chips. I know what Coach Lewis Walker said. I know what he said. I don't know that there's any truth to that story, but I cannot confirm nor deny any rumors surrounding the bag of chips that Dom Izzo lost. I mean, and let's just put it this way: like if he had done a better job taking care of his stuff and had it, like we probably wouldn't be sitting here and talking about all this stuff with the chips gone missing. But maybe it was a Western Illinois Leatherneck that just needed to. I don't know if Dom has enemies over there. Maybe he's just made some enemies and they decided to steal his chips. I'm not sure.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Well, I appreciate you for doing this, man. Thanks for
Yeah,
hopping on and taking some time. I know it's been a crazy week, so enjoy
yeah,
your 4th of July weekend, and we'll see you when you get up here.
yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we're excited to get up there, and the rumor is it takes at least 2 Iowa Scandinavia T-Birds to win the national championship. I'm pretty sure. So someone's got to do some fact checking for me on that, but I'm pretty sure there's been at least 2 Iowa Scandinavia T-Birds on staff or part of the team. I think every national championship, maybe even one, but I think every single one. There's been 2.
I'm gonna have to do the research on
You're
that.
gonna have to do some research.
Fill that role then with another.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was a prereq for the job. I think that's the biggest reason that we threw back on there is, the Iowa Scandinavia connection. Here we go.
That's awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah.
We'll see you when you get here.
Absolutely, Sam. Great talking with you.
Kody Morgan on this Thursday morning. Great conversation with him, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. We got to get back on track with time. We'll take a break. When we come back, hour number 2 coming up just a couple of moments on Hot Mic.